me get the recording up and running. And then let's see. So, what session? We're doing a replay review, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you have replays for me?
I do. I have 2 losses for you.
Okay. Well, when you're ready, post them in Discord, and then I'll transfer it over to Overwatch.
Okay. Let's see. Career profile replays.
And then out of these two, which one did you want to go over first?
Let me see. And there's a second one. Let's probably the newer one because the old one was from last week. I don't remember, or maybe from 6 days ago. So probably the King's Row, the first one I gave you.
Oh, the first one you gave me. All right.
Traveling to Dorado.
I delete that one.
No problem.
Now entering King's Row.
Okay.
Ready for battle.
I am streaming Overwatch. Let me know when you're there.
Okay.
Over Discord.
Yeah, I see your stream.
Okay, and what is your in-game name?
Squid.
Squid, okay. So before we start, we're gonna have a few questions. First
Sure.
off, how long have you been playing Overwatch for?
Since it came out. Yeah, I mean, I played it pretty hard for about a year or two, then took a break for a little while, and then got back into it.
Kind of how recently did you get back into it?
I'd say within a year I've been playing probably.
Okay, and then let's say past couple of weeks, how consistently have you been playing?
In the past 2 weeks, at least 2 days a week.
Oh, yeah.
So for about 4 to 6 hours, I'd say, a day.
Okay, so 4 to 6 hours a day, 2 days a week. And can you remind me of what SR this is again?
Yeah, right now I'm sitting at 25. I think you're looking at 2600 SR.
Okay. And then final question is, do you have any questions that you came into the session wanting to ask?
Not questions, but I do have a disclaimer.
Alright.
So in my whole history of Overwatch, I've played on kind of settings that worked for me. So I've never really played on low DPI settings, but this last week for this whole week I've switched my DPI to 800 along with my in-game pretty low. So I've significantly dropped down my stuff, and it's kind of trying to get adjusted to that, just because I've heard that probably one of the reasons I miss a lot is high DPIs and stuff. So.
Okay.
One.
So we'll get right into it.
Incoming.
But the video you're watching is probably with low DPI, and the oldest one will be with high.
Okay, so right off the bat, whenever you're dynamiting spawn, which just can you remind me, is do you play Ashe frequently? Is Ashe your
I
main?
do.
Alright,
Yeah,
so
she is.
most of the time you're gonna want to dynamite right as spawn opens. So throw dynamite right at 3 seconds, because at 3 seconds, that's going to give it account for travel time, and then once it does land, it's going to take 3 seconds to explode. So if you just toss dynamite at the ground and spawn there, then it detonates like kind of a second or two after its doors open. So you're going to be hitting a lot more people than trying to throw it after here and then missing the shot. So you won't even, if you just time it right, you won't really need to even try to shoot for it. And then that's also going to mean that if you don't really have to peek and risk getting headshot if they have any snipers.
Okay, that makes sense. 3 seconds. Give me 1 second. I'll grab a pen. I guess I can make some notes. Kind of you're talking about.
Okay, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. Always arc it upwards, because if Reinhardt's just shielding there, he's gonna block it. So
Okay.
make sure that you're trying to get it above shield so that you're getting the damage in. Besides that, that's a fine situation to be dynamiting. All good so far.
Okay.
You're pushed up a little bit too close. You're not a brawl character. Look at where your team's at. You're pushed very far forward, and they are on brawl. If we're looking at their team comp, the first things that we always need to take into account every single game is team compositions. What are we running? What are they running? What map is it? Because right now they're running a very hard brawl. They're running Ryan, Zarya, Reaper, Kree, so they're trying to run into us. We're running a semi brawl. We have an Ashe, so that's going to change it up a little bit. We're running brawl besides our Ashe. But basically, we're just standing very close here, and that could result in us getting pushed out. We back up, so it's fine. Okay, good job arcing up that time.
I need healing.
So this is before the Ashe buff as well. Just keeping that in there, taking that as a note.
Okay. I haven't.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't
Are you
actually
aware
brought
what the
him.
buffs are?
I
So-
heard there was a buff. I wasn't sure what it was yet.
So buffs are going to be, she now has 15 ammo. She now has a faster, it's going to be a lot of faster things. So it's faster between her scoped and hip fire, so she can shoot faster out of her scope. She can reload faster now, out after she gets out of, so it's kind of like they got rid of the animations in between everything.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
now outside of her, like as soon as she comes out of her scope, she can start reloading faster. So overall, she's gonna have more uptime with how much she's shooting. Okay, decent so far. We're getting a lot of dynamites off. We don't have a Mercy, which is going to be a big deal, especially, I think she's banned. I don't know if she's banned when you're playing her, but she is banned in comp. Mercy with Ashe is going to be very highly important, and I would highly recommend getting a Mercy duo partner, or a couple of them, because of
Okay.
the fact that Mercy is such a good combo with Ashe. If you're unaware of the benefits, Mercy will allow her to one-shot headshot with a damage boost, and also Dynamite being her highest damage source ability. If she's being damage boosted while her Dynamite's going off, that's going to be doing a lot of damage to their entire team, which will get Bob up very fast. So overall, Mercy is a very good combo with Ashe, and is a kind of a rival of Far Mercy, the kind of level of pocket that Ashe receives. But then at the
Okay.
same time, if you're not, same with the Pharah Mercy, if you're not running a Mercy with the Pharah, there's gonna be better heroes than Pharah on her own. And same as with Ashe, is there's gonna be other heroes like Kree, for example, that are better than Ashe on her own. So you're gonna have to try to make up with that, especially when you don't have a Mercy with a lot of damage. Good dynamite so far. You're taking very close angles instead of like kind of, I might want to see you taking more high ground angles, flank angles where you can get shots in from the side, but from basically you're just kind of sitting in the front line, or in hotel here and trying to get shots off from there, so you're not going to be getting a whole lot done from that angle, besides just getting your dynamites off. So I might recommend maybe taking high ground instead, or trying to go around wide, and hold around the statue.
Much better.
Okay, so this fight's done. Already lost here.
My position.
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
Okay, so we have Bob up. Bob's a decently fast charging ultimate. We do have 5 ultimates, so it's really gonna depend on what our team's doing here if we want to use Bob or not.
Enemy contact. Here it comes.
Okay, so whenever we're using our ultimate and we're in fights, we want to be paying attention to kind of the sway of the fight. So we grab and immediately kill 4 people. So now we are up 2 people here. Bob probably wasn't necessary, though we did throw it at the same time as other ultimates. The reason why we won this fight was because we threw 4 ultimates out at once. So kind of coordinating that with your team, whereas prevent that from happening. But what you can also do is if you don't feel like communicating that with your team, you can also just pay attention to tab. See, okay, we have 5 ultimates. Our team's probably gonna use ultimates. I'm not gonna use my ult because I'm just gonna rely on them to use ultimates. Because now your team over ulted. They're coming in. We have 1 ultimate. They're coming in the next fight with almost 4 ultimates, so they win next fight no matter what here.
Smoke 'em out of there. An expedient solution. I'm with you. I need healing.
Okay, probably don't want to come out this side because coming out this side, because coming out this side means that we have to run a longer distance before we get healing. We could have just dropped back to our team, which would have allowed Moira to heal us. And now we're outside of the fight longer, which means that now this is effectively a 6v3 on the front line, where it could have been a 6v4. So you put yourself out of the fight for a really long time there. Okay. Okay, so they are running, like I said before, they're running Brawl. They're on Reaper, Ryan, Zarya. You're not going to do a whole lot if you're just sitting with your team trying to get shots in from the front because Ryan shields it and they just run through you. So you need to be taking off angles. It was really good when we went up to that high ground and you did get a lot of damage off from there, but you constantly want to be doing that. You're going to thrive on 3rd point, but even before that, you can try coming off on off angles like this. This high ground, you can take this high ground. Basically, try to take off angles, use high grounds more often because you're not going to be getting a lot done from the front line when they can just kind of run you over with the team comp that they're running. King's Row is not going to be a great map for that reason for longer range characters because it is largely dominated by Brawl. And that's kind of what we're seeing here.
Okay.
Do you have other characters that you in your hero pool? Do you typically play other characters besides Ashe?
Yeah. If Ashe doesn't work, I normally will swap through Junk and May.
Okay. Junk's really good on this point. May is really good on this point. You already have a May, but I'd probably say Junk would probably be a better pick than Ashe. Maybe 3rd point would be a situation where Junk's not as good, but definitely 1st and 2nd where it's closer quarters.
Surrender to my will.
Okay, what are we shooting at here? You don't just want to be spamming
Sure.
You don't want to just be spamming because now we wasted half our mag shooting at nothing. So be making sure you're looking for red blobs. You're just trying to find some enemy, and if you can see a mass of enemies, just as the red blobs, then you can shoot at that. But you're just shooting at cart, so make sure you're shooting at something. You can also send Bob out to contest here. You're only down 1 person, so if we're looking at fights, this fight's not lost yet. If you're watching kill feed, down 1 person is a disadvantage. So you're at a disadvantage right now. It's not lost yet. If you're down 2 people, then that's lost. Just back up. If you're up a person, that's an advantage. If you're up 2 people, that's a win. So unless you're talking about overtime fights or it's 2 CP and you're capping 2nd point or the game's about to end, something along those lines, or big ultimates are involved, that's going to be the basic rule. So right now, you can still win this. I'd probably send Bob in here. Okay, good job sending Bob in. So you did get grabbed. That's not necessarily your fault for dying there. Good usage of Bob. You baited out some ultimates. So now we're setting up third point.
Time to change things up. Enemies here.
There, I'm just gonna assume that's just a mess up mistake thing. But just remember, you're
That
looking
was.
when you're trying to go straight up, you're looking straight down.
That was. I just didn't make it quite all the way.
Okay, don't chase that. She's already far, real long gone. As soon as she got around that corner, you can't really chase her unless you're close to her. Right now, we just because where we're holding doesn't provide for any off angles. It's fine to be holding main, though our team should probably be holding the the corner right here because this is making it so that they don't have to run through anything. We're kind of accepting their brawl when they have the better brawl. So we're trying to fight them close when we should be letting them walk in so that we can get damage off on Ashe. So if you want to call that to your team, you can say, "Hey guys, back up and hold this corner." Because if you're running kind of more spammy than they're running, you want to have the distance on them.
Okay.
Okay, so right here, your team's holding really close. So that's gonna give you some issues. This isn't a flank I would take. So reason why is because this is what's considered a hard flank. So there's a difference between a soft flank and a hard flank, or a soft flank is otherwise known as an off angle. So this is called a hard flank, where you, to get value, are putting yourself in a very dangerous situation. Which, if they look at you, you need to back up, and if they push, if we're looking at this fight right here, if your tanks get pushed backwards to the corner, which is probably going to happen, you have no escape route. So you're you're going out of the fight for a very long period of time here. Two, you have very little, it's very hard for you to get back and to safety. And three, you're really just you're not gonna survive here. You're probably gonna die here. I'm just gonna predict that right off the bat, based off this positioning, unless you back off immediately. An off angle, on the other hand, is where you're sitting here, and you decide to go here. There's no difference. You're taking a different angle, which will allow you to get shots off better, but you have the ability to get back to your team. You can even do the same thing here. This is an off angle. This isn't a flank. If you go from over here to over here, because you have a mega in here, you can back off to your team decently easy as soon as you see they're pushing you. But in here, it's very easy for them to push you without you getting any value. So you need a minimum of 2 kills here to make up for the time you've wasted. Okay, so we do actually decide to come back. But now we put ourselves in a bad position. So we went for a bad play, we recovered, but then we went in a bad position. So if you're trying to get out here, just maybe try to boost over the top, since they're pushing your team back. So you're at this point, you're looking at the fight, your team's backing up. Just don't try to go up main here, try to boost over the top. You end up dying to 2 ultimates. Which, again, this could have all been better positioning. Probably would have just been up here on the high ground. We can get spam angles down the whole lane there. They don't have much to contest us besides Kree and Ana, which we can just back up and get healed and use cover accordingly. But where we're standing was very close quarters, which you don't want to be with Ashe, and in a very dangerous position.
Let's clean up this mess.
Okay, good kill. Good dynamite. Alright, so I'm noticing this a lot is that after the initial kill or the initial dynamite, you just kind of throw out shots. And I just want you to watch this through for a second here, and just watch where your shots are going here. And this isn't really even an aim thing. This is more of like a not really focusing thing. You're not looking at something, because you can. There's a big difference between looking at something and having good aim. To look at something, you look in their general area. We're not looking in the general area of anything right now. So we get the kill, we throw the dynamite out, and then the next 7 shots go on pretty much nothing. So I think, well, this is a decent time to talk about this. Just remember we're at 5:55. We're gonna go over some crosshair placement real quick. Okay, where's Ashe at? So
My business.
crosshair
My
placement
rules.
is using your aim to help, or sorry, using your brain to help your aim. It's how you're gonna have better aim without having natural raw talent. Does not require any mechanics. It's all mental. It's all where you're placing your crosshair. So you're going to be placing your crosshair in the most optimal positions so that you can hit headshots easier. So and hit shots easier in general. So the first step to this is going to be aiming head level. So if you're aiming here all the time, that's going to do 2 things. First off, it's going to mean that you have to adjust when you go to shoot at people. So you have to go up to the right, up to the left. Whereas if you're aiming here, you just go left and right. And then if you're also aiming here, then we walk over here, and now we can't see top high ground. Now we can see top high ground. So head level is always going to be beneficial, but it's going to be head level for where they are. So if they're up on the high ground, we're aiming head level here, and we just wait for them to come. And as soon as I turn the corner, you see how there's relatively little adjustment. It took a tiny little bit of adjustment because of the fact that we just placed our crosshair where we know they're going to be. So you can do the same thing on bottom, at doorways in the bottom here, doorways up top, corners. So you're always just going to place your crosshair where you know they're going to be at. So same thing with if you're going back and forth like this, you can do the same thing. So I'm going back and forth. I know where the bot's at still because I was just there. I remember where he's at. I know the bot's right as I peek here, so I can just already be pre-aiming. So it's pre-aiming. It's placing my crosshair where I know they're gonna be. There's not really a whole lot to do with it. You can just make sure you're placing your crosshair in the majority of people, so you're hitting something. But then also pick out something to focus. Don't just try to spam into the crowd. Focus one target down. So instead of, if I'm sitting here and I am looking at 6 bots, I'm not gonna just try to like shoot and try to hit like the general crowd of people. I'm gonna focus one bot at a time and make sure I'm going this bot, I'm going for this bot, then I'm going for that bot, and I'm going for this bot. So you always have a target focus and priority. And then just so that you can see it, these are the new Ashe changes. So 15 ammo, and then scope to fire is a lot faster.
Sweet.
You need to learn the
And then as well as the fire to reload is a lot faster as well. Right, so that's the biggest thing, is just crosshair placement. If you can learn crosshair placement to a high level, you're going to be aiming a lot better. So head level wherever you know they're going to be, and looking to place your crosshair where you know they're going to be. That's the other thing that's going to have to do with is like if you know that there's not going to be enemies on this side of the map over here, nowhere over there, and you know their whole team's over here, you shouldn't let your crosshair wander over here. Same thing with like with walls and stuff. There's no reason why you should be looking at walls unless you're looking through walls to see something. Always be looking at doorways. So rather than looking at walls, you want to look at the doorway where people can be. If there's no people over there, then we're hugging this corner looking over here. So you always want to place your crosshair in the most optimal position where it'll get value.
Okay. Can I ask you what settings you play in your Ashe?
What settings? So for what in particular? Sensitivities?
Yeah.
I have 3 sensitivity with 1200 DPI, and then with this, I'm pretty sure 51.47 from what I remember. I don't play Ashe enough to remember this exactly, but if I'm correct on this, that is the 1-to-1 ratio. So
Okay.
for sensitivity.
12. Let me change that really quick if you don't mind. Oops. Ashe 3.
Or did you need me to stay on that? Oops.
And 27. What was it? 27 for relative zoom. 27.
47.
51.
51,
47.
47.
I'm. And you said 1200 DPI. Now, do you
Yeah.
know if DPI from different mouse makes a difference? So if I'm using a crosshair, if the
It's
DPI and crosshair is going to be different.
the DPI is always going to be the same across, but it might have a different base settings or something like that. So, but it should be the same. You'll have, I think you'll have different. The DPI won't be different, but you'll have different weights for mice. You'll have different smooth, like the smoothness of mouse pads and things will also affect how fast you're moving your mouse. So you'll have differences in that, but the DPI is all going to be the same.
Okay. And 1200 DPI, right? You said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll head back to the replay. So it's King's Row, I think. Oh, well, this is from a week ago.
Now
Why does it say it's from a week
entering,
ago?
ready
Is this
for
it?
battle.
No, this is not.
I don't think so.
That's just somebody else.
It should be a different map.
I need to start deleting these. King's Row, here it is.
Now
This is the one we
entering,
did,
ready for
right?
battle.
Are we doing the same one?
Yeah, I was just getting
Oh,
out of
okay.
it for a minute. So
Okay.
going 550, 5 in here. Okay, so pick out a target rather than just trying to spam here. So pick out the Ana, pick out the Ryan. Good shots there. Good dynamite. Overall, pretty good plays there. You came out and clutched it. Probably gonna want to position yourself and stay on a high ground after you clean up those kills. But now that you're pretty much done with cleaning up kills, you just want to go back and position yourself on high ground because you don't want to be sitting here on the low ground. You're gonna be taking a lot of spam. You just have to be careful about how you're using the high ground. Okay, so we do go back up to high ground.
I need healing. Fire in the hole. I need healing. Do something.
Okay. I like that we're not hesitant to use Bob. He did get unfortunately charged there. Okay, so I just like to see how you're hitting feet here. So look at where your crosshair's at. We're just gonna go slow mo real quick. Look at where your crosshair's at in comparison to where their head level is at. So head level is going to be about an inch above where you're aiming right now, and then that's going to mean that while you're aiming here, most of your shots are going to be hitting feet. Whereas if you're aiming head level, you're now aiming at heads, which means that all of these shots are hitting headshots just because you're looking up an inch. Now there is a slant here, so you're not going to be looking at your head level, you're going to be looking at their head level. Other thing is try not to jump here because spam jumping in general, if you're holding down jump, it's going to do three things. One, it's going to make enemy shots easier to hit. Two, it's going to make your shots harder to hit because you're bobbling, unless you're using it to get over something. And three, it's going to make it so that your movement, you can't control your movement. So if you jump around the corner, you can't stop yourself until you've landed. But that's kind of how it's so easy to headshot you out of it, and because it's in trackable animation. When you go up, you have to come down. So that makes it easy for snipers in particular, but also hit scan characters to hit you while you're midair. So try not to be in a habit of spam jumping. These shots all hit heads if you're just aiming head level. Okay, you only need one shot there. Don't reload 5 if your one goal is to get dynamite off in a grab that has 3 people. just reload one shot, throw bomb in there. Okay, we're spam jumping this whole time. Okay, probably need to contest point there. If we contest, we have 1, 2, 3 other people who are capable of touching, which just maybe stalls point out an extra 20 seconds. But it still helps because now they have 20 seconds left, less on their time bank than if we just sat there. So try to contest that earlier. Look around real quick, see can anybody else touch? No, okay, I have to get on. Okay, so we're going on the next round.
My biz.
Attack's gonna be a little bit friendlier because they can't. It's gonna be a lot harder for them to just run us over.
Incoming. Defend objective A.
So ideally, you're gonna want to do a large wraparound. So you're gonna want to, as soon as they back up, which hopefully they do back up, you're going to want to wrap around to this high ground, take this high ground. You can spam from here if they're running only brawl. They don't have anything, so they have a Mei and an Ana who can contest you. But you can hold here. You can use your shotgun to get over here. Now you're in an angle that can shoot from behind them and get a lot of large damage in on them, which means that they need to kite back over. If they don't want to take no damage from you, they have to kite back into cubby here, or run into your team. So that's an angle that's probably gonna help you a lot here on Ashe, and let's just see if that's kind of what you're gonna be trying to go for. Not a bad idea. Just make sure that it's behind the tanks, not in front of them. Okay, so looks like half your team was in on that plan, half your team wasn't. Your team's trying to play Brawl without Brawl. We're teleporting into Reaper Mei. We have a Symmetra and a Zenyatta. You guys, and an Ashe. They're playing Brawl, we're not playing Brawl. So, if we're in team chat, communicate that to your team. Say, hey guys, they have better Brawl than us. Let's sit and spam them, play passive until we get picks. That way, they're not teleporting on the point and dying instantly because they have the better Brawl. Okay, so that's a compositional thing. Our team just fed it because they're playing our composition wrong into their composition. Okay, so we're trying to take this angle, which this in comparison to this or this means that we have less survivability. Even though that's a decent angle for any other character, it's not going to be the best for Ashe because you don't get a lot. You can't stay there long, and you need to be able to stay and sustain in a spot. So that's okay for a Kree who can just peek and get a flashbang off and get a kill instantly. But Ashe, unless you have a Mercy, you're not going to get a kill instantly. You need to kind of play for poke in the long distance game where you can get dynamites off. So better angles are going to be up here. You have more survivability. It's high ground. Whereas here it's going to be very easy for them to push you out, especially since, again, they're running Brawl. So you don't want to be putting yourself in close quarters against a composition that can just run through you. Okay, let's see. At what point did our team die here? So, our team dies, and then after we see our team dying, we decide to go on a flank. So now, what this does is it staggers us. Staggering, if you're unfamiliar with the term, means that now our death is coming after our team's death, which means that they're going to walk out of spawn without you, and now they're coming into a fight with one less person. Same with your Ana did this too. She tried to run away and she couldn't get out. So now they're coming out of spawn. 3 of them are coming out of spawn without 3 people. And then that can cause more staggering because then they can kill them. And then that goes again and again. So that's a very hard cycle to break. Unless you just sit in spawn and wait for all 6. And that doesn't happen a lot in ranked. So don't stagger yourself. And how you can do that is evaluate, can I make it out? And will I be able to get out of this fight? If you can, then go for it. If you can't, then just run into them and die. If you're on defense, you can try to stall point out by running the cart to die. And if you're on attack, just run into the enemy team to die. Or you can jump off maps too if you don't want to feed them ult charge, but there's no option for that on here. So now look,
Clean up this
real quick,
mess.
they're running out of spawn, we're not here. If they don't stop for us before they keep moving on, we're going to be a good 3-4 seconds behind them. So if our Reinhardt just keeps running past here, which it looks like he is, then now, okay, no, he's not. Okay. If Reinhardt did just decide to run in there, then he's running forward without his team. So that's why staggering is very bad. It's not going to be great for you. So it's a good habit to break is just die faster.
Okay.
If your whole team's dead, die as fast as possible or get out. You have to pick one or the other. You can't go on a flank angle and you can't die late. On the thing here, we're going to shotgun over here.
Knock 'em out of there.
Make sure we're landing that. You don't even necessarily just need to scope in there. Just unscope it. Bang, bang, bang. Or like shoot some shots into it. Try to unscope that. That's a really big dynamite if it actually lands. Okay, again, we're trying to look at kind of the angle that we're taking this fight. Is they're playing Brawl. We're trying to play Brawl back into them on Ashe. We're not taking good angles that allow for us to get spam in without them being able to touch us. Instead, we're being in range of them able to touch us, and in a range where all of their abilities stop our shots. So we want to be playing around their shields. We want to be able to play out of their reach on high grounds, preferably, because can their Reinhardt hit you on high ground? Can their Reaper hit you on high ground? Can their Moira get you on high ground? Can their Zarya get you on high ground? Their Ana and Mei might be able to tickle you a little bit, and Reaper might have to use a cooldown to get up to you. But if you have your coach gun up, you can just blast away to another high ground. So high ground gives you a lot of survivability against that Brawl comp, and it's going to allow you to get off angles, which allow you to get dynamites off. We don't want to be only at 60 charge after a minute and 20 seconds. That's not very good. We want to be getting bobs off faster, which means we're not getting enough dynamites off, which could be solved. See, we've done that same jump 3 times and missed it. Don't scope in, unscope it. And then again, that's going to be easy. Dynamites are just going to be easy to land if you're behind them, not having to do a jump shot. Okay, they run into it anyways. Okay, so we get one person with that. Reaper's gonna push us. We're playing on even playing fields with the person who has the advantage at this kind of level. Okay, he didn't push you hard. Ana came back to help you. He made a mistake. You backed up, but he still pushed you. He could have just helped with their front line. They made the mistake, not you.
Smoke 'em out of there.
You're using Coach Gun for damage a lot. Coach Gun can be used for damage, but I'd like to see you use it for mobility and utility a lot more. So you use it for knockback. You use it for getting to high grounds is the biggest thing that you can use Coach Gun for, is getting places. And a lot of the time you're kind of wasting the cooldown trying to hit it for damage. So we push forward here without our things. Don't push forward without your team. If you want to push forward, call for your team to push up with you. This is completely fine. You're doing what's right here. You're in the right. Your team should be here, but because your team's not here, this is wrong for you to be here. They should be up here at this corner, killing these 2 people because they're pushed super far up and they can even get Reaper when he comes back in. But because they're not here, you shouldn't be here. Because now you're feeding and you're dying because you're up alone. So call for your team to come up with you. The other thing is you take a very wide angle here.
Hey.
So you leave cover. So cover is playing next to objects. It's playing around corners. So this is around corner. This is playing next to cover. This is playing next to cover if you're playing here. But look at where you're standing. And look at how that makes it hard when you start getting shot at to get back behind cover. So now Kree starts shooting at you, and we try to get back up. but now
A captured.
we're not close enough to cover to get behind anything. And Reaper finishes us off, but Kree did get 2 shots in on us. So play closer to the left, hug this left wall a little bit harder, play closer to cover. Don't go forward without your team.
Payload must be moved to its destination.
Alright. What's our team doing right now?
Pushing.
Okay, and what are we doing?
Pushing the cart.
Okay, so how do those two things not correlate with each other?
Yeah,
So
I mean, they're not.
it's okay if Zenyatta's sitting here because he can put orbs on things and just kind of chill here. And he's not a super important character, but you don't want to have 2 people sitting here. Zenyatta was already pushing cart without us, but we decided to help him push cart, which isn't necessary. Unless you are up here with cart and you're trying to get 3 people on to get it to the end of point as fast as possible before they recontest, you never ever put more than 1 person on cart, because you're either going to want to take positioning, so if you win this fight and you have your carts back there, you want to be pushing up to this corner or pushing up to like this corner. You want to be pushing forward so that you're not getting stuck in chokes. So especially when you can also push up to here, because if you push up to here, then that means that you can catch them while they're running down a very long hallway. So you essentially change the choke from you having to push through this to them having to push into you if you're taking space. But here we're sitting on cart while our team's in the middle of a fight, which means that Ryan's taking a lot of damage because the Ryan's not under pressure. So we don't have damage in the front line. It's the big thing. Okay, we are even. Good usage of Bob, but you want to make sure that. Alright, he didn't go anywhere. I think they booped him actually, because on his. I think when you threw him, he might have actually gone. Where were you aiming him when you threw him?
Just,
I thought he was more down.
circle.
Okay, never mind. That's right. When I saw this, I thought he was going alley. So that's fine.
Double kill.
Okay, so even right here, if we have 3 people on cart, that's all well and good, but they get a recontest anyways. Because unless cart's right here, when we win this fight, they get to touch again. Because it's all the way back here, they get to touch even if we have 3 people on. So having 3 people on is going to be worthless after we win this fight. So what we want to do is have everybody but 1 person, which will probably be a support, probably Zenyatta. So everybody besides Zenyatta pushes forward to clean up kills, which is 1, 2 people who are still killable, and then we can take space and hold here, which means that while they're trying to run in, we can mow them down with ultimates or whatnot. So we can maybe nano somebody. We can nano Reinhardt in the front line, which will pressure them to back off. So we can basically win this second fight for free if we take space. There's 2 of you apparently. Okay,
Thank you.
focusing. Sorry. Okay, good. Right now, we want to be setting up. We want to. That's fine. You can poke here for a little bit. Poke, poke, poke. Coach gun up to high ground. Set up here. We don't know that Reaper's here. I'm assuming we don't know that, but he's gonna be coming up from behind. Really, the only way that you'd be able to know if he's alive or if he's back there is if you're keeping track of kill feed, and seeing did he die yet, and where'd he go. Okay, so he did drop. Coach gun we should have boosted up here high earlier. So as soon as we see that tanks are peeking here, we want to be up on the high ground because now they're starting to push forward. It's fine that we're poking when they're all the way back there, but when they start pushing forward, we want to be on the high ground because now we're again putting ourselves on level playing field with them, and we don't want to do that. We also want our coach gun to be charging back up so that if we get pushed, we'll have it again. Okay, good focus. Good damage in. Okay, we drop off high ground for pretty much no reason. You should have stayed up there. You also wasted your cooldown as soon as you dropped. So we wasted a cooldown and we dropped off high ground for no reason, which puts us now in a bad position because now Kree can clean us up very easily. So we had a good position here. Zarya's burning. She's shooting at us, so I think that's what made us drop. But we could also just kind of crouch and move to the side, which means that she's not out of our LOS. If we crouch, that means that she's less likely to see us. And now we're like kind of back here. I guess she might have. I guess it's also possible that she would have been able to see us either way. But I probably still would have stayed high ground because now this happens. Okay, yeah. You did pretty good that fight. No, probably wasn't your fault that you lost it.
Can somebody get the payload moving? Here it comes.
Okay, so be focused with what you're with each individual shot. On hit scan characters, you have 2 goals: don't die and hit shots. Okay, so you don't have to take space like on tanks. You don't have to heal your teammates like on supports. You're just supposed to exist and hit shots. So here you want to be focused. So let's see where these shots go. So good dynamite to open it up.
Here it comes.
Okay, we hit the dynamite. And then we proceed to shoot at a deflecting Genji. I think 2 times. And then we shoot at the Kree. We're aiming head level. That's fine. Now we start aiming at the feet. We don't hit anything. We're aiming at feet. We hit headshots. And then we back up because we get shot at. So we shot at a deflecting Genji twice. And then we shot at feet once.
I need healing.
Okay, pay attention to kill feed. Right now, you probably want to be dying fast because again, that is very weird that 1, you're hog ulted and 2, she ulted. But let's look at this. Do you get out of this alive?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So what's going to happen if you attempt to get out of it alive?
Die.
Yep. So that means that we're staggering ourselves, which means that now the people who are coming out of spawn are already out of spawn. So they're 10 seconds ahead of us. Which means that they might be running to this fight 10 seconds ahead of us. And we're wasting 10 seconds. Which is basically half of a fight.
Fire in the hole.
Okay, we have Bob up. It's fine. Okay, okay, so you have to pay attention to the fact that your Reinhardt's not with you here. You saw him going on the flank. Take that into account. You no longer have a shield. Do very hard peek this angle. Again, look, we're not next to cover right now. We're next to cover here. Look at, we're moving to the right too while we're doing this. We're moving farther to the right. So now, unless Orion came back right there, we were about to die. And even if you do have shields, you still want to play next to cover because they're using Coalescence, which can go through shields. they could be shooting around shields. So cover and shields can break. Ryan could just fire strike or drop a shield. So shields are not reliable, and you want to be standing next to cover. And you almost died there because you weren't standing next to cover.
Smoke 'em out of there.
Okay, so Bob usage here. We want to be using Bob to while we're initiating, and we did get a pick, but we're also not really pushing forward as a team, and that means that Bob pretty much gets instant melted here, and they just back up around the corner. So you want to make sure that one, your team's pushing in, and two, they can't just back out of his line of sight. So if you're right here and you see they're playing along the corridor, this might not be a good Bob because of the fact that they can just instantly back up around the corner. They can shield it off. It's not getting behind shield. They just sleep him, shield him off. So a better Bob might be if we wait till we push up, and then Bob right here into this wall or something like that. So where can they go from here? So Bob then forces them to go into unfavorable positioning. Right now, this Bob is making them to go to good positioning. This positioning is very good for them if they're standing right here. If we throw Bob here, that forces them to come back here or come back here to get out of his line of sight, or else Bob just free farms while our team takes space. So this Bob, we get one kill with it, but besides that, they just back up away from it. They kill a Reinhardt. We get some more frags. We're going to win this fight. So it's not a terrible Bob, but at the same time, it could have been more optimized. Just the biggest things you want to be looking for with your Bob are, can I get point presence with him? Are they going to immediately move out of the LOS of Bob? Do they have abilities that can counter it? So you might have wanted to, they did wake him up immediately, but you might have wanted to make sure they use sleep before you use Bob. Because if they have sleep up, that means that Bob, they basically cancel Bob for half of his duration. And then that allows them to basically cancel his entire ult, because that means they can just move out of his line of sight.
Огонь по готовности.
I'm on fire. Here it comes.
Okay, don't attempt to go for dynamites if you know that the dynamite's not going to hit.
Огонь
So
по готовности.
right here,
I'm on
you go for the Zarya, but then as soon as you throw this dynamite here,
Here it
you
comes.
see here, I guess that was more of a wall peek thing, my bad. It was only really the tip of her head that was actually exposed. It's just because I saw her body. Okay, good second point.
Payload has reached the checkpoint.
Okay, so we have 3 minutes left. See how this plays out.
Smoke 'em out of there.
Securing the payload.
Okay, so high ground usage. I probably say it's the biggest thing. High ground means that we can get a dynamite from above them very easily. Getting like 6 people in it means that we can shoot at heads from above. It means that they have to divert resources to look at you, which splits their attention, and you have a lot more survivability up there as well. So get up to the high ground as soon as you get the opportunity to. Team's coming back into the fight. We get a pick. We have Bob up. Right now we need to be thinking, okay, do they have sleep? Do we even need Bob? We already got a pick. They're purple in there.
Do something.
Okay, then we do use Bob. So, depending on the scenario, you might not want Bob to hit somebody, because in this scenario, I went too far back, but in this scenario in particular, letting him hit the back wall
Do something.
is better than him stopping where he stops, because when he stops where he stops, we're gonna look at his,
Hold.
we're gonna go over to Bob and look at what he can see. Now from where Bob's at, Bob cannot see anybody past this corner. So, because of this, they can just very easily get out of his line of sight if they're paying attention to where Bob's at and come down here. Which if Bob goes all the way back to the back wall here, where do they go that's out of his line of sight? They have to back all the way back over here, which again puts them in unfavorable positioning. So, if possible here, we want to get Bob so that he goes all the way back, which is going to be very hard because there's 6 people standing in the way, but just wanted to mention that. Sometimes you just are going to want Bob to be in positioning that's better than where he is if he hits something. Because if he hits something, there's also the potential of Ryan just shields it off because it's in front of them. Okay, we translate.
Courtesy of the Deadlock Gang.
Pretty decent Bob there. We get the dynamite off for the finishing blow. You say I need healing, but you need to be in line of sight to get healing. So peek the edge. You don't want to be sitting at 120 HP. Okay, good job. We go back for it. Press it again. You just took damage, so pay attention to that fact that you did. Okay. Probably unnecessary that we dropped from high ground there. Wasn't a big, real reason that we should have done that.
Огонь по готовности.
And if anything, if we are dropping from that high ground, we're doing it because we're rotating the top left. Because top left will give us more visibility. But we want to be on a high ground. Because right now, if we're up on high ground, while they're trying to contest and just go on the point one by one, this gives us line of sight on the entire point. They can't hide behind cart. We can see into both spawns here. Where we're standing right now, look at our LOS. We can't see either spawn, and they can also get behind point. So, where we're at right now has a lot less visibility. And when they are trying to just contest point from getting to the objective, we have a lot more space to just free farm them. So, we want to be in a position to free farm them. Because now, look what the Zarya is doing. Where's the Zarya hiding that you can't shoot her when she's half HP, where you could have seen her if you were standing right here? So this gives us less visibility for that. And then I don't know if you're gonna die to high noon here, but let's see. Do you die at high noon? Yep. Also, it allows you to back up and not die to high noon. So you have more visibility, you have more survivability, you control your peak. You can control if I go forward or backwards. When am I letting them see me? Here, he controls it. He's moving to the left. You can't really control him moving to the left here, but if you're on high ground, you can just move backwards and get out of his line of sight. But then you can also come back as soon as he's done his ultimate. So, here, you're just not in great positioning. You're not taking the high ground. You're not taking the angle that will get you loads of line of sight. Okay, we're running out of time here, but maybe we'll just speed run through this last couple of seconds. We don't want a yellow on the point. We have tanks. Okay, we have a Reinhardt. Reinhardt's not disabled. He doesn't have his shield, but he is right next to us. He can touch just as well as we can, and he has the toolkit to touch. Reinhardt has 500 HP and shields. We have 200 HP and a coach gun. What are we gonna do to contest point that Reinhardt can't do? Reinhardt's sole job right here is to contest point, and you kind of have to trust him here because otherwise you're feeding. You steal Ryan's nano and walk forward. Reinhardt could have been nanoed swinging on something at point, but instead you get nanoed to save your life, or your Ana just missed, either or, because you stepped in front of your Ryan. And then now we are tasked with damaging things. So we shouldn't have attempted to touch. We could have again taken top left or top right, gotten a load of good line of sight. Top right would have been a little bit safer. Top left would have had a lot more line of sight. So We steal the nano, we step on the point unnecessarily.
Smoke 'em out of there.
Again, you use Coach Gun for damage, which it did a very little bit of damage to her. That was mainly knockback. It didn't really do anything to Ana. And then we just wasted our ability to get off the high ground. Okay.
Payload's in my possession.
Okay, so you basically lost this entire third point because you didn't really use high ground settle. High ground's gonna be super important for staying alive and getting value, especially on hit scan characters and DPS. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up our session. I'm gonna stop streaming real quick. Stop streaming. Okay, they have a new layout for Discord, so I'm figuring it out still. So I am gonna also stop the recording.